What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and we need to talk about Aterian Inc., ticker symbol ATER, because this stock is actually doing pretty well today on a day that the overall markets have been sinking. So let's take a look at the chart and see what we have right here. You can see that we were kind of wobbling around in the after hours and pre-market after close, basically just over the weekend, and we've actually been shooting up come market open. Now, this is good news for ATR holders, and obviously, yesterday or last trading day, right, Friday, I made a video on ATR when we were down below $10, and I was saying this was potentially a bad sign for the stock. If we ended up continuing with this trend and holding below $10 throughout the rest of the day. However, that was not the case. We ended up shooting up, breaking $11 even, and closing the day around almost at 11, very close. It's 11:03 is where we closed. So we ended up having a very strong close yesterday and are having a very strong day today as well. You can see that we just pumped up in early morning trading. Now, this is following a trend that a lot of more short squeeze and riskier stocks are following. So if you look at BBIG, you can see that we were also pumping up quite a bit just in early morning trading and are now taking a brief respite. Now, obviously, we're down on BBIG. And if you look at other stocks like GREE, which I know a lot of people are not a fan of, we also did pump up a bit in early morning trading. So this is kind of going along with the overall market, right? If you look at SPY, which has been sinking quite a bit, we did pump up a little bit in early morning trading and are now falling away. However, what's notable about SPY is that we are down 1.47%, and on ATER, we are up about 6.87%. Now, what I really like about this chart and the idea that ATR is continuing to rise is that this is going against the grain of the overall market, because if you look at SPY on a longer term time frame, and this is a very important stock, right, an ETF for a lot of people who don't know about it, right? This basically tracks the S&P 500, which is kind of an index for the overall market. And if you look today, you can see we're actually really suffering. We just dipped very far, and Friday was not a good day for us either, but this is a massive dip compared to what we're used to. And this could be the beginning of something much worse for a lot of investors. Just pointing that out. Now, that's obviously very good for ATER holders that we are up on a day when the overall markets are down, because stocks tend to follow the markets. However, that's not the case with ATR. We are still moving up, and we are bouncing around in this $10 to $20 range. From what I'm seeing so far, right? It doesn't look like we're going to be breaking through 10 anytime soon. Obviously, we had a pretty harsh rejection of below $10, right? We tried it twice, and both times we've bounced above, and in pretty significant ways, right? We made new highs yesterday of $11 and new highs today of $12. So 2 days in a row, we've been making new highs for the stock, and that is good news overall. So what's been going on with ATR, actually, you can see, especially if you compare it to a stock like BBIG, right? BBIG is the line in blue, ATR is the line in red. And traditionally, ATR has been a bit below a BBIG, except when ATR was pumping up really high. It did actually end up getting more attention, but traditionally, more people are interested in BBIG, which is the blue line over here. Now, if you actually look, you can see that on this massive pump up, ATR is shooting way above BBIG. Now, of course, if you read this little text box, you can see that it says values for this point have partial or incomplete data available. So this likely won't be the end result, once some more time has passed. However, it is notable that ATR is becoming much more popular, especially, I think, because of this big run-up that they had. They were up over 10% at their highs. And BBIG, on the other hand, is down on the day. So, maybe some interest in that is waning, especially as they break down below this $8 key resistance level, which I will be talking about in a different video later today. But today we are talking about ATER, and to do that, we're going to have to look at the Ortex data. And you can see that, obviously, short interest is still increasing. We're up 2.7% today, making a short interest of 64.97%. And you can see that this yellow line, we've been tracking this for a while, has been going up. And, after their big dip, when we thought a lot of short sellers were covering, granted, a lot of short sellers did cover, we are actually continuing to move up. And it looks like over the next couple of days, if this pattern continues, we will be making new highs for short interest as a percentage of the free float. So that could be a massive catalyst. And a lot of people are really looking forward to seeing ATR short squeeze because, last time we had a bit of a squeeze, we only got up to around $20. We got very close to $20. And obviously, I did predict, and correctly so, that $20 would act as a very strong resistance level for the stock. And if you look back at the longer term chart, you can see exactly why. It has acted as a strong support level and a strong resistance level in the past. So it makes a lot of sense that we would bounce off of $20. And that's just what happened. So obviously, that just because we did bounce off of 20 doesn't mean that the short squeeze is over by any means. You can actually see, on Ortex, we are almost as high as we were short interest wise now, as opposed to, when we were actually making our last big squeeze up, when we were up over 50% on this bar over here. So that is a real possibility, especially if we get some other positive catalysts for this stock. Now, I do want to point out the options open interest activity that we have for ATR. The next strike date is October 15th. The last one was September 17th, which was last Friday. It just happened, and some options probably executed. But you can look at this and you can see that the options open interest activity is interesting, right? You see a couple thousand for each strike date. It's not a ton. It's not as much as there are for some stocks like BBIG, but it is a decent amount of options activity to see. 7,000 for the 1250. 6,000 for the 15 and 5,000 for the 1750. So there are some people buying these options, and this could serve to give us a bit of a gamma squeeze as we get closer to the October 15th date. But it's not going to be the biggest catalyst, in my opinion. I think that we'll really just have to see some more momentum and more buying pressure, especially from retail traders, right? Because institutional traders, if you're looking at Ortex, probably don't want this thing to be going up. They might be buddying up with some other institutions and saying essentially, come on, don't push this thing up, and we won't push up other things that you don't want us to push up, right? That's sometimes what goes on with institutions. If they get into those wars, it can be a messy situation. So we would really need to be seeing some kind of retail wave coming in, or maybe a retail whale. Someone who just happens to have a lot of money on their own and is a very wealthy individual wants to push this thing up. That really could set off another short squeeze, and we could see some pretty massive gains like we did on this massive day that we had when we were up over 50%, which actually garnered a lot of interest in this stock. Now, I do think that 10 will act as a fairly strong support. I don't think we'll be just plowing through that anytime soon. I think that acts almost in a very fundamental way for the company. I think that this company is probably valued probably above 10. As you can see, we were trading almost at $50 at one point. And if you actually don't know what this company does, I did some research into it, looked into them, and they basically just find these brands, make these brands, and sell products either online or in stores. So here's basically some of their product portfolio. It's very interesting, and there's something else on this page that some of you guys might be interested in, but they do have some interesting products like the Squatty Potty, the #1 way to #2, rediscover how enjoyable pooping can be. And I'm not really sure what you're supposed to do with this thing. It's kind of annoying how whenever you mouse over it, text pops up. But it's an interesting website, and they do have a dehumidifier here. They have a thing that turns vegetables into spaghetti here, coffee. They sell chairs, so they're basically just selling all kinds of stuff. It just seems like a pretty traditional drop shipping empire almost. I'm sure they're not really drop shipping. I'm sure that they're actually making some of these products themselves, because they do have a build tab on their page. They also have an acquire and a partner tab. But what I found is very interesting is the shareholder perks. And some of you guys might be interested in this. If you are holding ATER stock and you intend on doing it for a decent amount of time, then something you can do actually is fill out this form right here, and they will send you exclusive offers to get discounts and stuff on their products. I don't know if you guys are interested in that. I'm not going to do it. Honestly, I get a lot of emails and spam emails, and I don't really want another newsletter, which is probably what they'll be sending you. Weekly email with exclusive offers and discounts. I don't necessarily care about any of those products that I saw there. But if you guys are in the market for any of these kinds of things, then, this might be worth looking at. If you have 100 or more shares of their common stock, then you can qualify for this. So that's, something I'm not really trying to shill that or anything. I don't care if you sign up for it, but it is an interesting thing that I found if you guys are interested in potentially getting discounts on some weird products. So that's what I found there. But what I do think about ATR stock is that we are probably valued over $10. I mean, after looking at that, I haven't dug too deep into their financials, but they do seem to be a somewhat legitimate company. It's not like this is just a squeeze stock that's only going up because of a squeeze. Obviously, a squeeze is at play, but I do think that they're probably pushed far too low at this $3 level. And, it did come off of some bad earnings news. But if you actually look at the numbers, they were losing a lot less profit-wise this quarter than they did this quarter. Now, obviously, this quarter wasn't great for their earnings either, right? They were still in a downtrend, and it didn't necessarily reverse it. It was near the end and where we actually ended up bouncing up. However, that isn't because of the earnings call. That was probably just a technical pattern. We had been moving down pretty significantly, and it was time for a little bit of a rebound. But this earnings call does show that they have been improving, at least, their profitability. And, come this earnings call, who knows what we'll see. But they are an interesting company and will probably not be going below $10, at least in the midterm, right? I think that especially with this squeeze going on, there is going to be a lot of interest being garnered in this stock, a lot of new investors, probably a lot in retail, and retail does tend to hold, I feel, more long term almost than a lot of institutions. Institutions, I think, they just buy and sell and paper hands all the way. But retail often does. They have these mottos of diamond hands, and I do think that they tend to hold a little bit longer than institutions. So that's really what I'm here to talk about with Aterian today. I think that $10 is a pretty good level to be getting in at if you're looking to be a part of the squeeze. If I do see us dipping to $10 again, I might consider getting in and, contributing essentially to this support level. But that's just me. That's what my plan is. I'm obviously not giving you guys any financial advice or trying to convince you to do anything in one way or the other. But that's just what I'm here to talk about today. So that's what I have for you guys. If you've enjoyed the video, feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Other than that, have a great day, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.